Hello, everyone. It's Phil and Phil. And today we're going to be talking about my impressions of CES 2025.
Hey, Phil. So how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing actually excellent. It's been a while since we had the opportunity to talk, my friend.
It has been. It has been. We need to do these more often.
It took a while to catch up with several different projectors that we were working on leading into CES, plus the CES coverage. So now, since we're getting through all of that, we're going to make sure that we get back to doing these on a regular basis.
Well, I'd like to talk about your impressions of CES. Just kind of talk from a high level about what did you think of the show?
Okay, so the first thing, it's called the Consumer Electronics Show, but it's not a lot of consumer electronics that are being shown there anymore. Consumer Electronics Show is now ran by the CTA, Consumer Technology, a Technical Association. So what you're seeing a lot of at these big booths now is future tech. What could happen, how it could happen, how these products integrate together. So you're seeing a lot less of walking into like the Samsung booth and seeing every TV and every camera and every computer that they make. That's just none of the big guys did that. It was they were doing more of the big vision stuff. However, if you look at the Chinese and Taiwanese companies, they're still trying to grow in the U.S. market and globally. So their booths are the ones that had everything in them. So if you went to the Hisenses, the TCLs of the world, and several of the projector manufacturers, they brought their entire offerings to kind of show you all of the stuff that they have, because they're trying to grow their dealer networks and make sure that people actually are aware of everything that they make.
Well, that's good, because I was afraid we were going to have to suggest making the name change from the Consumer Electronics Show to the Concepts Electronics Show. I mean, in all the years that I went and you went, it's nice to be able to get an idea where they're going. And it makes sense that these Chinese and Taiwanese, these non-traditional manufacturers are really driving the category.
Some of the coolest, newest consumer-focused stuff were coming from these companies that a few years ago you've never heard of. Interesting thing too was, while if we were talking about displays, the big announcements, most of them were gigantic flat panels. Hisense introduced a massive like 116, and TCL was doing giant ones. Everybody was doing these flat panel television sets that were absolutely gigantic. But at the same time, at the press conference, they said, look at my massive TV. But oh, by the way, look at this cool little lifestyle-based or portable projector we're making, which is kind of interesting that they realize that even though there are these giant displays, there's still applications where projection is useful.
Haven't these manufacturers gotten the word that flat panel is just dead? Sorry, just joking. I'm just joking.
I know, because I admit, like, there were some really, really great looking flat panels that were out. Like some of these RGB LED backlit, displays or micro LED displays are dazzling, and you can now get really, really, really big screens for under like 3K, but can you get it in your New York apartment? That's the question.
Right. And in fact, if anybody watching this video wants to check out a previous video that you and I did where we actually talked about, the benefits of a flat panel versus a projector, I'm sure you can throw a link up in the edit to gear them toward that video where we covered that and so much more. So,
exactly.
Phil, what were the big themes at the show this year when it comes to projection?
Okay. Well, the big theme at the show for the show was AI. It seems like every year they pick something: 4K, 8K, 3D, HDR, but now it's AI. Everything has AI. AI washing machines, AI vacuum cleaners, AI TVs, everything had AI. When it came to projectors, there wasn't as many traditional projectors shown here, because kind of the traditional projectors is kind of a shrinking market. It is reserved for those who are truly passionate about home theater and home entertainment. So the Sonys and the JVCs, those will always live, but that's not really what the kind of stuff you see here. The things that were really noticeable for projectors were lifestyle-based projectors. And if you don't know what a lifestyle-based projector is, it's kind of classified as a semi transportable, kind of squarish looking form factor, laser projector with smart features and a good built-in sound system. And the other one was ultra compact, ultra short throw projectors. So we saw a lot of manufacturers doing short throw projectors, but the big thing was, look, we have the smallest ultra short throw. So everybody was talking about their compact solutions as well.
What kind of size are we talking about?
LG showed one that was, it's about this big. They did. They also have an ultra short throw. It's about that big. So you just tiny little ultra short throw. They are also selling these beautifully matched Bluetooth speakers. You can buy one or two to make a stereo pair. And if you combine the ultra short throw projector and the speakers, it would be smaller. It'd be half the size of the smallest ultra short throw projector you've probably seen so far. So it's just for, so if you think about it, if a projection lives in two places, look, I want something way bigger than what I can get as a flat panel TV. 165, 185, 200, and things like that. So that's where you're seeing higher brightness, higher power, and a push towards massive screens to say, hey, yes, you can get a big 100 inches. Oh, you're still measuring your TV in inches. I'm measuring my TV in feet, right? That's a market that projection can still live. The other one is, you can't have that. You can't take it on the road. You can't take it on the go. You can't move it into your barracks. You can't take it to the dorm. You can't take it upstairs in a New York high-rise apartment. Your apartment is small, but you want a big picture. So that's the other opening there is I can give you a massive picture, but that you can move around or easily fit or move into that particular environment. So they basically went compact chassis or super bright. So, and they left the middle for the 85, 100-inch flat panel television. So little itty bitty guy, super tiny little guy. And it was surprisingly small. Now this thing is not insanely bright, but if you're trying to project an 80-inch screen in a dorm room, a bedroom, a barracks, and you want something small enough to fit into a backpack and be able to project that massive image from a few inches away from the screen, this is a great solution for you. So the first one is the ultra compact projector, which is the PU615U. That is their little ultra compact tri-laser portable ultra short throw projector. The little ultra short throw was about 500 ANSI lumens, which is fine, like I said, in a fairly dark environment on screens going up to about 80 inches. Packed with features. So just like the little Cinebeam Cube we did before, it's got the LG operating system, HDR, great HDR. It supports it's got Bluetooth and Dolby Atmos output to send to a pair of speakers. It's insane. It's got everything you would want in a big projector, but it was this big, right? In addition to that, they had this weird little, projector that was it was kind of a 3-in-1 solution. When you first come up to it, you can't even tell it's a projector. It looks like a light. It's the PF600U. And this was kind of this hybrid lamp / Bluetooth speaker / projector. So you could stand it straight up, so it would pop up straight up, and it looked like it was a lamp. And it was a lamp, not like a lamp to brighten your room, but to add ambiance. So you see, like in a lot of rooms, you'll see these RGB lights in the corner of the room to kind of add color to the space. Then there's speakers around it, so it could be a Bluetooth speaker. It's on a stand, by the way, and you can either bend it straight to fire it up at a wall, or use the stand to angle it, and you can project the image on a screen. So it then becomes a smart projector. Now, the thing isn't super bright. It's only about 300, lumens, but for a small kid's room or bedroom in the dark, it does a pretty good job.
So what else did you see?
All right. So since we're talking about this ultra compact thing, right? The next one was JMGO. So JMGO actually had one called the O2S Ultra. And this was their version of a compact projector. This one was a little bigger, but it was a lot brighter. It was 2,500 lumens. It utilized a version of their proven tri-laser light source. It had Google TV, and it was a very attractive item. And the picture, from what I saw in their booth, was very good. They were actually showing it on a ambient light rejected screen, and there was very little light control. Literally bright enough easily to utilize it during the day. This was a cool piece. I mean, the unit was about 12, if I would say, right around 12 by 12 by 6. So it's not very big. 2,500 ANSI lumens or 2,500 lumens, project a 100-inch image from like 5 inches away. Beautifully designed projector, good color. Very, very, very good projector. So I'm looking forward to
Wait, did you say 12 by 12 by 6?
Yeah, 12 by 12 by 6.
Wow.
The other one with the little LG was like 6 by 6 by 6. So this was big, but it was a whole lot
but
brighter.
the LG was like 300 ANSI lumens, and this one's like 25.
2,500, yeah. So that was really impressive. Oh, and by the way, we're talking about Jimgo doing kind of unique things. So that's this cool little beautiful ultra short throw projector. But then they have a new. They were the first company to do the projectors with the gimbals, right?
Right.
So they had
gimbal-like functionality.
Gimbal-like. The ability to turn, angle and point your projector at the flat surface desired, right? So it really does help, because I'm using a gimbal-based projector right now, a little Epson EF22 in my bedroom. As my TV in my bedroom firing at the ceiling, and I don't have to worry about a tripod or anything else. I just stuck it on my nightstand, and I shoot it at the surface that I want to shoot it at. So gimbals are really cool. So these guys said, well, let's show you what you can do with a gimbal. So their gimbal, actually, you take the remote control, and when you point the remote at a surface, a wall, around a room, the projector will actually robot around like a little robot and aim itself at that location. So basically,
like a real gimbal.
Picture, I wanted to be on that. I wanted to be on that wall. I wanted to be on the ceiling. It'll just automatically go up and aim where you pointed at. So kind of cool. It was a motorized gimbal. That was the N3 Ultra Max. They love adding a whole bunch of ultras and maxes to stuff. Moving on. Talking about the king of the ultra compact, ultra short throw, that was being shown at the Hisense booth, and it was a prototype that they were actually showing. Basically, what they did was they took a PX3 Pro, which is outrageously good, by the way.
Love that projector.
And they said, well, what happens if we pull the sound system out, and how small can we make it? So by pulling out the things like the sound system and stuff like that, they could get the chassis pretty darn small too, like about the size of a shoebox. But it had all the performance of a PX3 Pro. So, because I asked them, why would you make something like that? And they go, well, a lot of times people say, well, I'm going to buy a PX3 Pro, and I don't need the sound system, because I'm going to connect it to a sound bar. I'm going to connect it to my surround sound system. So they said, well, why don't we just take the picture of that unit, the video processing, the lenses, and all the stuff that makes the picture, and get rid of all of the other fluff. So that was a very stylish looking projector, and it performed just like a PX3 Pro. And if you don't know the PX3 Pro, when we just did an ultra short throw showdown with projectorscreen.com, and the PX3 Pro was one of the judges' favorites. And this literally looked just like it, but it was just in a itty bitty box. So that was kind of neat.
So it makes sense. It sounds like they're coming to the same conclusion that a lot of television manufacturers came to a decade ago, which was, external sound is where it's at. Let's get what we can out of the chassis. But reality-wise, if you want to get your, bezels smaller, on a flat panels case, or in this case, if you want to get the chassis smaller on a projector, you got to lose the sound system. That's probably the biggest component in the device next to the light engine.
Exactly. Now, the other thing that was kind of neat about it was they took this prototype projector, and they built a prototype kind of all-in-one cabinet with an uprising screen inside the cabinet. Yeah. So because this projector was so compact, that made the depth of the cabinet slimmer. So, and then the projector was like like almost like a trap door. So when it was closed, you couldn't even tell there was a projector or anything in it. And when you hit a button, the little lid at the top would open, the screen would come up, the projector a little door at the front would flip open, and the projector would move out a little bit, and it would project like 100 and something plus size image. But when you turn it off, it was gone. So that's the example of, I can get a 100-inch TV, but when I turn off the 100-inch TV, there's still a 100-inch piece of black glass sitting there. And if you don't want that, this is the kind of the approach for you. So those were the two concepts. Then they said, okay, well, let's show you what we can do and what we are going to sell this year. So the first thing they showed was the new L9Q. And this is the replacement for last year's flagship ultra short throw projector, which was the L9H. And this sucker was super bright with super high contrast. 5,000 lumens is what they're talking about, with 5,000 to 1 contrast ratio. So very good contrast ratio, very good brightness. And
sounds
very
nice.
stylish package. I think the design is actually nicer than the L9H that is replacing. So, and then what they were showing was they actually developed a new ultra short throw ambient light, ultra high gain screen. It was a 2.9 gain screen. So the screen was
we need to get one of those.
I know.
We need to get one of those for a review.
The screen was 2.9 gain. So when you throw it, so 120-inch screen, 120-inch screen, 2.9 gain, 5,000 lumens is 1,500 nits, which is
that thing's going to look like a flat panel.
Insanely bright. Yeah, it looks like a flat panel. It's saturated colors like a flat panel. The ambient light rejection was great. So the blacks look good because it was so bright that your irises will adjust and the blacks look like a flat panel. Now, I will tell you that, of course, you're going to have some things like you cannot be way off axis. But sitting on a couch, the ambient light, the picture quality should be very, very good. So they're going to actually sell the L9Q as a soft bundle this year. Because before, you always had to get a screen with it. And they realize that sometimes people want the projector like me, but they don't need the screen, right? So they're going to offer it. They're saying they're going to either do soft bundles. So you could get the L9Q by itself, or you can get it with the screen, and the screen would be a massive discount. So they're trying to solve the needs of both audiences.
I think that's a smart move, because a lot of times people already own a screen that they're quite happy with if this isn't their first projector. And to your point earlier about, yes, the high gain screens are hyper directional, right? But if you've got a large family that, are spread across the room, then don't get this screen. Get something a little more traditional ALR screen with a wider viewing angle.
Yeah. Or there's tons of good uprising or like just regular motorized screens now that are available in ultra short throw ALR material. So if you want your projection to disappear, having that option is great, especially if you're buying a premium projector like an L9Q. So the L9Q had great design, more brightness, higher contrast. The throw distance is even shorter, so it's even closer to the wall than what it was before. The lens is before, because it was bundled with the screen, the lens was fixed. Now it utilizes the adjustable type lens that is in a PX3 Pro. So it's basically if an L9H and a PX3 Pro had a baby and that baby was bigger, brighter and higher contrast, that is what the L9Q was. So really, really cool piece. So
I cannot wait. I mean, I was, we had a really good time with the L9H and a really good time with the PX3 Pro. This is another example of a company that is, they're not sitting on their laurels, they're moving.
They launched. It was nice that they were showing amazing flat panels and then these projectors. So this thing should be ridiculous, because if you look at the specs compared to the PX3 Pro, it beats the PX3 Pro in handily in everything from contrast to brightness to throw distances, everything. And they just launched a new set of lifestyle projectors, the C2 series. So we reviewed the C1. So the C2 series is there's going to be 3 models, and the models are the Ultra, the Pro, and the standard C2. The one that really stood out was the Ultra. And the Ultra is one of the most feature-packed projectors I've ever seen. All 3 models were really, really nice. They're gimbal-based lifestyle projectors. The C1 didn't have a gimbal, but they're realizing that people like that gimbal adjustment. So it's a gimbal-based projector. But the Ultra, they basically checked every single feature box. It's probably easily one of the most feature-packed projectors I've ever seen. It has Dolby Vision, HDR10+, HDR10, HLG, IMAX enhanced. It does DTS:X. It has a subwoofer built into the gimbal. Okay, it's got JBL sound system, subwoofer built into the gimbal. It has optical zoom. It has lens shift. It has tri-laser. It's super high contrast and it's bright. So everything about this sucker is absolutely amazing. It's designed to be the ultimate when it comes to compact lifestyle projectors, 3,000 ANSI lumens. Oh, it's even designed for Xbox. As you move down to the Pro, you get a little less brightness. You don't get the subwoofer on the gimbal. And then the C2, you get a little less brightness. You don't get things like IMAX enhanced. And so they basically, it's almost like a fully outfitted luxury car versus as you move down from the fully outfitted one, you still get a lot of performance with not as many bells and whistles. But all 3 projectors look really good. They said they're going to actually send us all 3 at one time so we can kind of see what the differences are. All 3.
Okay.
So I was impressed with the C2 Ultra because it's going to have to battle the Valyrian Vision Master C2 Pro. That projector has everything on it. And I was shocked at how good that projector is. For its price point, it's 3,000 ISO lumens, has IMAX enhanced, Dolby Vision, HDR10+, HLG, HDR10. It's super low super low input lag, like 4 milliseconds for HD at 240 frames per second. It's got dedicated game modes. It's got AI where the system will look at the content and switch between picture modes or on the fly, scene by scene, to make it look better. It's got the best dynamic laser dimming of any projector I've seen. They call it EBL, or enhanced black level control, where it adjusts the laser and adjusts the contrast, frame by frame. So with super inky blacks, plus you get a good shadow detail. So great looking black level. Everything about the projector is awesome. The fit and finish is insane. And I was like, okay, who's gonna beat this thing? And they have another one coming that we have not reviewed, which is called the Valyrian Vision Master Max, which is the one they were highlighting in their booth. The Vision Master Pro 2, which I reviewed, is about $2,999, and it was the focus of a Kickstarter campaign where they raised like $10 million. So actually, I think it's a great idea. You have an idea to build a projector, they build a couple, they send them out to reviewers and influencers. The influencers say, "Oh my gosh, it's amazing," and then now they have the money to send back to the factory and say, "Finish my units." So that's so it's great. It allows them to react really quickly, check all the boxes, build something, and then have the audience that wants it invest in it. So JMGO was a big Kickstarter thing as well in the US, but this was probably one of the most successful Kickstarter campaigns out there. And the main difference between the two is the Max actually has a lens that offers optical lens shift, and it has a dynamic iris. By the way, if you look at it, a lot of the specs are very similar to the Hisense C2 Ultra, except for it does not have a built-in subwoofer. So literally, the picture quality wise, they may be very, 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 very similar, and they perform probably very, very, very similar because they had to pay $10 million
So
for the basis of the projector.
Maybe we need to have a San Diego Projector Reviews lifestyle projector shootout with
I'm thinking about it. I'm
the
really,
Valyrian, the JM Go, and the new Hisense model, since we're going to hopefully have them all around the same time.
Yes, I do have right now sitting over here, I have the Valyrian Pro 2. I love it. I'm sure I can get the Max. I'm sure I'm going to have the C2 Ultra. And right sitting over here, I have the Leica CinePlay 1, which happens to be their tri-laser 3000 ANSI lumen projector that has pretty much everything we just talked about is in this projector as well, but the fit and finish is on another level. So basically, advancements in light sources. There's 3 or 4 companies that make light sources. Advancements in the controllers, advancements in lenses, and what you're seeing is all the projectors are getting better. So there's going to be a lot of really, 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 really good lifestyle-based projectors out there.
Cool.
And I'm really curious to see the Leica versus Valyrian versus JMGO versus
Hisense
Battle Royale. That's probably going to be coming pretty soon. One more thing. Oh, there's one more company, by the way, that probably wants to get in that fight when it comes to the biggest, baddest lifestyle projector, and that's Nexigo. So Nexigo, we just did a review of Nexigo, the Aurora Pro, and they have a new model projector called the Aurora Pro Mark II, which actually has better dynamic dimming. Everybody's trying to work on that algorithm that combines laser dimming, contrast adjustment, and brightness adjustment on the fly, scene by scene, to maximize black levels and shadow details in dark scenes while still giving you high brightness. And the Nexigo one that's found in the Aurora Pro is very, very good. And we do testing with scenes from Blade Runner 2049 and 1917, really just torture tests. Well, the new Aurora Pro Mark II offers even better black level performance, and they're actually showing it at the show. But what they were also showing, a new lifestyle projector coming called the TriVision Ultra Mark II. And this is a tri-laser, super bright projector. The original tri-laser Ultra was 2600 ISO lumens. This one is 4,000 ISO lumens, and it's utilizing the latest ALPD 5.0 light source. And we can do a whole session on ALPD.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm glad to see Nexigo again joining the fray. Seriously, I mean, let's be honest. The Nexigo ultra short throw projector, the magic was, I mean, it's a very good performing projector, but man, it was at an aggressive price point too. You don't want to prejudge anybody, but the expectation for a projector, selling at such a bargain price is, okay, well, you're gonna have to give up something. And that projector, that ultra short throw projector, really, it was a performer. So I can't wait to see the Mark II.
Yeah, so I think this is just a few of the projectors. We could spend hours just talking about all the ones. There were introductions from for movie showed projectors there. A new little ultra compact one called Arzen. It was like this little foldable ultra compact Pico projector. Everybody absolutely loved. There was lots of other projectors that were there as well. If you check out our website and you go to our coverage of CES 2025, which we'd like to thank, by the way, Meridio and AV Pro for sponsoring. I did little articles of most of the introductions that were shown at CES. I'm actually got to add 2 more or 3 more because I keep thinking about ones I need to add to the list. And we also have a video where I interviewed probably about 10 different manufacturers, and you can hear from the representatives themselves what they wanted to talk about. So Phil, you wanted to ask me about the 8K thing. Samsung introduced the first 8K certified ultra short throw projector, but I didn't get a chance to see it.
But is it concept or is it real?
The best way I can explain it is this. I've seen 8K projectors for the last 2-3 years. Hisense has showed concepts. Samsung has showed concepts. Hisense actually showed the concept on the floor the last year. Samsung shows their concepts at a pre-CES show. I used to have to go. So the show starts on Tuesday. I got to show up there on Sundays now because the show starts on Tuesdays. The press conferences are on Monday, but the pre-show press, when you actually get to see the products from the big guys, is on Sunday. So they were actually showing their prototype 8K projector in their technical pre-show, but they didn't have it on the floor. So I didn't get a chance to actually see it. But the question is, I didn't even say the question. It's not a native 8K projector, all right? Right now, companies are still struggling to make a native 4K projector. The only true native 4K projectors out there are LCOS projectors from companies like Sony and JVC. Most of the other companies use a lower resolution DLP DMD imager and very, 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 very efficient and effective XBR or pixel shifting.
Right.
So Texas Instruments, it says that their DMD, because like the way this thing works is if I'm watching 4K 60, for each frame, the mirror has to make 4 pixels. So for each frame, that mirror has to move 4 times before it moves to the next frame.
Right.
But it's more than fast enough to do that. And it's moving so fast that you can't tell that it wrote 4 pixels, this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. And you go, well, what do you mean I can't tell? A DLP projector shows you one color at a time. And if you can't tell that it's showing you red, and then blue, and then green, and then red, and then blue, and then green, and you see purples and all the colors of the rainbow, why do you think that your eyes are fast enough to see that it's writing 4 pixels at the same time? So these things are moving lightning fast. Right. According to Texas Instruments, the DMD can move even faster. The problem was the controller, the little brain that tells the mirror what to do and where to go.
Right.
So they launched a new DMD controller. And that new DMD controller, they say it can do things like, HD at 480 frames per second or even higher, right? So if I can write HD at 480 frames per second, that means I can do a massive amount of movements before I move over. So it's possible right now I'm doing 4. Each mirror is writing 4 pieces. Why can't each mirror do 16? Which is probably what they did. But that was the main thing. They're a little hush-hush about how they're doing it because, but they're saying that a lot of manufacturers are looking into it. But the big thing is if you're a gamer, we're starting to see projectors now that are doing HD at 240 frames per second at 4 milliseconds.
So did native 4K DLP chips sound amazing. I guess ultimately it's exciting. I'm
native,
terribly
I don't
thrilled.
think it's going to ever happen. Because if you talk to them, they'll say the problem with native is the DMD is going to get
cost.
bigger, which means it's going to get hotter, which means you got to have a bigger lens, which means you got to have a bigger light source and things like that. So what they're probably going to do is they are working on pixel density. So the 0.47, it may not go much bigger than that, except the mirrors may just get smaller. So I can put more mirrors on a 0.47, and then I can move those mirrors at a higher rate. So that's pretty much how we're going to get to 8K. But, 8K is more about look what I can do because there's not much content. And most of the time you can't see the difference anyway.
And I think that's probably the best point right there is everybody always wants better and better and better. But, 4K projectors are getting so good. And as you and I have talked about multiple times, what people perceive as resolution isn't necessarily resolution. It's improvements in contrast. Exactly. So they're improving across the board all the elements of these projectors. So
yeah, I am far more excited about the massive boost in contrast on DLP projectors than I am on the fact that eventually they'll be able to do 8K. Because from an average viewing distance, 14 feet away on a 120-inch screen, it won't be able to, it's going to be doubtful. You'll be able to see the difference between a 4K signal and an 8K signal. But like I said, 14 feet away, like you said, Phil, on a 120-inch screen, you will see the difference between 4,000 to 1 contrast ratio and 2,000 to 1 contrast ratio. It's blatantly obvious. So that is I'm more excited about wider color gamut, higher contrast, better black level. I mean, there's even talking about stacking 2 DLP imagers behind each other. So one of them is just there to redirect the light. So one of them does a black and white image, like local dimming, and then the other one does all the colors. And when they do that, the contrast ratios will explode without the chassis being even bigger.
It's not a brand new concept either. I mean, the stacked LCDs have been around for, a little while. And frankly, I know it's the reverse technology, but they've been stacking sensors in cameras for years.
Another thing that was kind of nice is XGIMI wasn't on the floor, but they actually were demonstrating a new cabinet to go with their projector that had a floor-rising screen and a high-quality multi-driver sound system in it, and it was beautiful. So, and it utilized a very flexible, high-performance ambient light rejecting material. The material was insanely flexible, which meant you could roll it up tighter, which meant the cabinet was smaller because they didn't have to have the spool as big. So the cabinet was quite beautiful. Looked really good when added with an Aurora 2 projector, and it included a sound system. The cool thing is, if you used it with an Aurora 2 projector, it would come up and then it would show you things like album covers, a fireplace, trivia, karaoke lyrics, and things like that when it's using the Aurora. And then when you turn on a movie, it goes all the way up. But so it was like kind of two-level system. Now the unit would work with a third party or a different manufacturer's projector, but you wouldn't get that 1/3 height trick that they were actually pulling. But it was a very beautiful cabinet. People like the concept of ultra short throw, especially when I can make the whole thing completely disappear when it's off.
Yeah, and I think that's something we really need to focus on in this coming year, especially with the growth of the ultra short throw category. I mean, thick screens are nice. They have their advantages, but they have the same problem that an LCD panel has. They're always there, on or off. They're always there. So let's talk to our screen manufacturers and see what they've got coming down the pike to match up with these really amazing projectors.
While I was at XGIMI, I ran into this gentleman that a new company called Vanish Home Theater. And what they build is ultra premium, super high quality cabinets that fit an ultra short throw projector, a sound bar, and all of your audio equipment. And we're talking these cabinets, their main clients are like, Manhattan high-rise apartments overlooking, Central Park or the Hamptons. So the quality of their cabinetry was stunning. So I'm actually going to have Mark, as he's the president of the company, actually come and talk about it and their whole idea. And they build the whole solution. So they right now they were there because they use different projectors. They'll use an XGIMI projector or a Hisense projector. You get this solution. They don't send you a projector and a screen in a box. They come over and install this solution. And when you look at it, it does not look like it has a projector in it. It's stunning. So I actually asked him to come on in a couple of weeks so he can show you some of the cool things, because I was really excited about the AWOL Vision solutions, the XGIMI solution, which is actually which is prettier and more approachable. This is bespoke. So and if you have a beautiful room in a $10 million house and you don't want a TV on the wall and you don't want something hanging from the ceiling, this means you get a work of art, a beautiful looking cabinet when it's off, and then ta-da, the football game when it's on. And I thought their stuff is really, really neat. So we're going to have them actually come and talk.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see it. I love luxury goods. I have a background in luxury goods, so it's some cool stuff.
Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is HDMI. HDMI actually launched a new standard, called HDMI 2.2.
Okay.
And right now we're on 2.1. And 2.1 can support up to 48 gigabits per second, which means you can easily do things like 4K 120 and 8K 60 frames per second. No problem. HDMI 2.2 can do 96 gigabits per second, which is double that. The first thing that I said was, why?
Where's the bottleneck?
I mean, that's a huge amount of data. What would that be used for? And I will tell you that it's mostly for if you're a gamer. I could see if you're a gamer being drawn to this new format because of the higher frame rates. And at first I was like, well, it's still extreme even for games, because you're talking about 4K at 120, 240 frames per second, HD at 960 frames per second, 1440 at 960 frames per second. It's insane. And I was like, well, who needs that? And I started seeing gaming monitors, and let me look at the numbers here. The numbers were, let me look here. Full HD at 480 frames per second is where they're at right now. And the problem is the HDMI standard doesn't support that, but the DisplayPort and USB does. So right now it's completely overkill for home theater. It's completely overkill for gaming, but HDMI doesn't want to get left behind. So if you can do it with DisplayPort and you could do it with USB, and the organization HDMI org says with a number one connector, and guess what? You don't worry about your HDMI not being able to do what you can do with DisplayPort.
That sounds incredible, and I always love to see standards advanced. But we're not going to see that realized on projectors anytime soon, because isn't the bottleneck still the DLP sensor?
Well, hold on. That made me go back to this whole thing we were talking about before, right? So the first thing, they got a new standard, right?
Okay.
They were actually showing prototype cables. So the cables are coming. So they have a can, they have the cables. Now, we were just talking about these controllers are moving like freaking fast as the wind, right? And right now, I got one projector sitting here that is HD at 240 frames per second.
So, I thought we were talking concepts.
No.
Okay.
So I already have a projector. No, I already have a projector that is HD at 240 frames per second. The Valyrian, right? It's already sitting here. That has an older controller in it. In 2 years, they put one of those modern DMD controllers in it, and that sucker could probably do HD at 960, no problem. I doubt you're going to ever see a movie shot at 960 frames per second. But if you're a hardcore gamer, hey, it's there. So it was interesting. Yeah. So 8K projection and HDMI 2.2. When it comes to you hardcore movie watchers, the advantages of that are questionable. You should be more excited about advancements in the contrast capabilities of these projectors and the laser light sources, because that is what's going to make it a better experience for you. And I think that's it, Phil.
Yeah, that was exciting and much more than I thought. So sounds like it was a hell of a show.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to going to more shows, and we'd like to thank our sponsor, Meridio and AV Pro, for sponsoring my coverage of CES 2025. I love going to these shows, but we have to cover things like hotel and video production and things like that. So it's nice to have someone to help sponsor that. By the way, make sure that you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because as we grow our audience, it helps justify the cost of doing videos like this.
Also, too, be sure to go to projectorreviews.com for all the latest news and reviews and industry information. It's all there, including everything we've talked about in far more detail.
And one more thing. If you're interested in any of the projectors you see in these videos or in our articles, we would appreciate it if you utilize the affiliate links included in those articles and videos, because we get paid a small commission at no cost to you, which helps us continue to deliver content about the projectors that we all love.
So I'm excited to see what's coming in the future.
I'm excited to see what's coming in the mail. Let's get some of these projectors. Come on. Bring them on.
Yeah, send me more
And
projectors.
the screens.
Yeah.
And
send me more.
screens.
I think we're going to have a lot of cool projectors to review in 2025. So take care, everyone,
Cool.
and we'll talk to you soon.